ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಅಪ್ ಚಾಂಪಿಯನ್ಸ್ ನವಭಾರತದ ಶಿಲ್ಪಿಗಳು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಪ್ರಾಯೋಜಕರು KDM ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಡಿಜಿಟಲ್ ಇಕಾನಮಿ ಮಿಷನ್. ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಲಕ್ಷಾಂತರ ಜನ, ಸಾವಿರಾರು ಜನ ಹೊಸ ಗೇಮ್ಸ್ನ ಅನ್ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಹೊಸ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ಸ್ ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಏನಪ್ಪ ಇದು ಗೇಮಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅಂದರೆ, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಫೋನ್ ಇದೆ, ಆ ಮೊಬೈಲಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫೇವ್ರೆಟ್ ಗೇಮ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಈ ಗೇಮಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ, ಆ್ಯನಿಮೇಷನ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಬೆಳೆದಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮೂವಿ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತನೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಗಳಿಸ್ತಿರೋ ಅಂಥ ಒಂದು ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಆ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಮೂವರು ಅತಿಥಿಗಳು. ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿನ ಸೆಟಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ನೋಡಿ ಮತ್ತು ಆ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಬ್ಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಇವತ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಅತಿಥಿಯಾಗಿ ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಬಿರೇನ್ ಘೋಷ್. ಇವರು ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಹೆಡ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲರ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. Welcome, Mr. Ghosh. So happy to have you here.
Thank you very much.
He is also the president at ABAI. ABAI ಅಂದರೆ ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಆ್ಯನಿಮೇಷನ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ. ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಮಾತುಕತೆ, ಹಲವಾರು ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ಸ್ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಕೇಳಬೇಕು. ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ವಿತ್ ಯು ಶಾರ್ಟ್ಲಿ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಆಭಾಸ್ ಸರೋಹಾ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹಿ ಈಸ್ ದ co-founder of Bombay Play, right? This is where we find online games.
Yes.
You're a company that make online games.
We make online mobile games.
Okay, fair enough. Which is probably the craze right now amongst not just the youngsters but also, I guess, of every age group. Right?
Yes, I think in COVID what changed is that games in general got broader acceptance.
Absolutely.
And even after COVID, people who started playing games.
All right. ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಬಸವರಾಜ್ ಪೂಜಾರ್. He is the co-founder of Someshwara Software. Is that right?
Yes.
And Someshwara Software, though it sounds like a simple name, you're talking about metaverses and NFTs and augmented reality and virtual reality. That is what the company is all about. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Now, Mr. Biren, Technicolor has a legacy. Right, it's a name that all of us have heard at some point. Now, take a moment to introduce to us the legacy of Technicolor and what happens and what have been the achievements.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Sure.
Technicolor is a 106-year-old startup.
Wow.
The reason I say this is because technology changes,
right,
and therefore what we do with technology changes. So, a long time ago, we brought color to the screen. And that's how the name came about, with 4 startup individuals from MIT. So it was tech and color, and that's how the name came.
Technicolor.
And we remade a movie for Walt Disney which was in black and white, and he didn't release it because he didn't like it until he then tried this technology. And I think if you look at the DNA of the companies from then until now, that's exactly what we do.
Right.
So when I came here 14 years ago, in the creative side of our business, which is animation, visual effects and games, 50% of the services that we rendered at that time no longer exist in the company. And yet the same business is something like 6 times more than it was when I came in.
Wow.
Which is why I say that effectively businesses in technology, they have to constantly be in a startup mode in order to evolve.
Right.
What we do is that we help storytellers. People who make games are storytellers. People who make animation are storytellers. People who do visual effects for movies and TV and advertising are storytellers.
Yes.
And we kind of are the technology engine that they can use in order to drive their storytelling to great heights.
Perfect.
And what's happened in the last 10 to 15 years with the advent of digital is that before we were constrained. We were constrained by what the camera could do.
Yes.
Today, the stories that we help people make happen in front of the camera, inside the camera, and behind the camera. So you can pretty much do everything. And as this panel will tell you, that brings out a whole new world of possibilities.
That's true.
And that's really what we do. We feel like the winds in the sails of storytellers.
Beautiful. I really love the fact that you called this new segment as storytellers, and storytellers are very important for the current world because they transport us to a different reality where we can live something, that an experience and learn, inform, entertain. Okay. Fantastic words there. Thank you so much, Biren. Abhas, moving to you. 20 million downloads of your games since 2018, right? And games is something that, like, you know, moms watching this are probably like, oh my God, like, my kids are playing games. But it seems to be the next big thing. It's no more where you're mindlessly playing something. You're probably learning and experiencing, as Biren just said. Talk us through a little bit about Bombay Play and what's the inspiration behind starting something like this.
So that's a good starting point, because I think for us gaming has always been inclusive, and I think we want to calm the nerves of the moms out there that games can actually be a amazing creative outlet, not just for the kids but for everybody in the family. And that's been basically Bombay Play's mission, that we want to create games which bring people together. So I think the fears are from the old days when gaming started out as a niche activity, where people who had access to consoles only could take part in it.
Yes.
But with the coming of mobile, and with mobile being in everybody's hands, now everybody can take a part of it.
Absolutely.
And as like the storytelling theme, games are not just a passive story that you sit and watch. Games is something you are taking part in, and you're creating your own stories. So it not only engages you, but it also helps you, express your creativity through those games.
Okay. Will this
the number of moms who started playing games, women who started playing games in the pandemic, is exponentially increased.
Really?
And when you talked about people, senior citizens, you can postpone the advent of Alzheimer's and aging by playing games. Keep the brain going.
Excellent.
Games is amazing.
Yes, one of my friends who was a teenager, and she's a mom, and she says there is no way she can bond with a teenager except that, you know, she learn a game that he really or she really enjoys, and then they get some me time. So I guess truly it's bringing people together. Though, you know, people do have other things to say about, you know, how children are not going out to play, but then we also have to agree that the world has changed. The dynamics of living in the new world has changed, and probably this is the next step. Great. Okay, Basavaraj, ನೀವು ಮೆಟಾವರ್ಸ್, NFT, augmented reality, virtual reality, ಈ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಈಗ augmented reality ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವು ಆನ್ಲೈನಲ್ಲಿ ಫೋನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ನೋಡ್ತೀವೋ ಒಂದು ಇಂಟರ್ಫೇಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಎನ್ಹ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ತೋರಿಸೋವಂಥದ್ದು, ಅಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಫೀಲ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ. My question is, why create these virtual worlds or meta worlds?
See, there are many different things come into this picture, right? So, augmented reality, virtual reality both are different. Virtual reality means basically you are totally into that new environment where you are complete virtual environment. Okay,
you feel it like you're immersed.
You are immersed into it. Okay, if you want to experience standing in Eiffel Tower and experience it. So it's not only for poor people or rich people, it's even for poor people as well. Suppose you want to experience Eiffel Tower and you have to travel all to Eiffel Tower, right? So if you want to experience it, you can do that in virtual reality. So that is one, completely you are immersed into that virtual world and you can experience it. If it is augmented reality, means basically you are enhancing the real world where you are surrounding. So if you want to see how your basically this complete setup, you want to see how it looks before you want bring this complete this infrastructure, right? So you can see it and how it looks, and then you experience it. Then you can order it. Okay, so that's actually, it enhances your decision making. Okay. That's, you can think of augmented reality. So
ಅಂದರೆ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಎನ್ಹ್ಯಾನ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಯೋರ್ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್. ಅಂದರೆ ನಾನು ಈಗ ಐಫಿಲ್ ಟವರ್ ನೋಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದ್ಸರ್ತಿ ವರ್ಚುವಲ್ ರಿಯಾಲಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ದೆನ್ ಐ ಮೇಕ್ ಅ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್. ಡು ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ರಿಯಲ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್?
if you want to take it into different business case ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ, ಈಗ you made ಒಂದು ಹೊಸ ರೆಸಾರ್ಟ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ. You want to look at how virtual photos are just photos. Okay, you when you go there, you won't really feel that how the photos are different. ಬಹಳ ಜನ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಫೋಟೋಸೇ ಬೇರೆ ಥರ ಇತ್ತು, ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬೇರೆ ಥರ ಇದೆ. So
ಹೌದು.
because they won't really feel that how they're, if they sit inside it, okay,
Yeah.
if they stand inside, how it looks surrounding. So
Perfect.
virtual reality, you can experience it,
Yeah.
and decide it whether I have to go there, I have to invest
Excellent.
there or not. Okay.
ಎಕ್ಸಲೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ರಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಸೆಗ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬೇರೆ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದು ಈ ಕಂಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅ ವಾಕ್ ಇನ್, ಲೈಕ್ ಅ ವರ್ಚುವಲ್ ವಾಕ್ ಇನ್.
Exactly, that's the first product which we brought, a metaverse product actually,
okay.
ನಮ್ಮ metaverse ಅಲ್ಲಿ.
Okay, excellent, Basuraj. Thank you so much. Okay, back to you, Biren. Now, you are also the president at ABAI, which is Association of Bangalore Animation Industry. Now, what is the role of ABAI in this segment? What do you do? How do you help them? What forums do people get to access? And what should the youngsters who aspire to join this industry know about ABAI?
So I'll start by saying that ABAI no longer means anything except ABAI, because it used to be the A used to stand for animation,
Okay.
but now it's visual effects, games, AR, VR,
Yeah.
XR, etc.
Right.
So A went away,
Okay.
and B was Bangalore. But all the people in Karnataka said, "I'm from Mysore, I'm from Hubli, I'm from Dharwad." So the
Yeah.
B didn't become Bangalore anymore.
Okay.
But the name and the logo stuck, and we became a very important partner of the ecosystem and the government of Karnataka. So we are ABAI, which is just stands for the whole creative community
Sure.
of people in this field.
So it's not limited to animation or Bangalore, it's just
It's now stands for the creative industry.
fantastic.
So what we really started out was in order to champion the cause of professionals and artists, because they had no place to go, to find out how things are moving, what's taking shape, how they should progress further. And I think if you look at this field today, there is skills and there is education, and then there is the workplace, there's jobs.
Yeah.
So if you straddle skills and education and jobs, all these three things require quite different things from each other.
Yes.
Jobs require constant upskilling,
Absolutely.
because technology changes, right? Now we've
Yeah.
gone to real time, and things from the game engine world are now becoming part of television and movie production, even for normal movie production. In the
Right.
next 5 years,
Yes.
almost all TV and movies will be produced using game engine technology.
Wow. Okay.
Right, so that's the future.
Yeah.
So we need to have a way by which people can learn and evolve and do things for themselves. So the vision that we had, we was to start in Bengaluru. We created the first AVGC policy,
Okay.
and I don't know how it happened, but the term AVGC today has stuck.
What is
So whether
AVGC?
Animation, visual effects, games, and comics.
Okay, and
So
comics.
we had our first 5-year policy. Our second 5-year policy has just finished last month.
Okay.
And KDM and the government of Karnataka and ABAI are now sitting down to create the third policy. And there are 3 other states that have now started the same policies. 5 more states are starting in this year.
Wow.
And the finance minister in the budget speech of the country talked about AVGC being supported. And the prime minister has now created a message that he wants AVGC to be the soft power for India.
That's amazing. So,
So a phrase we coined here in Bengaluru at ABAI
Yeah.
has now become a national conversation, which we're so proud about, and it's actually so timely.
yeah, so it seems to be like it's a career generating industry and also creating. Do you also think it's going to attract people from other countries to come here and look at how we do things?
The AVGC segment, except for online games, is largely a services play for the world. So we've gone from being nowhere to becoming about 1% of the world's total production that is created in India. For example, in Technicolor at Bangalore, when I came here about 13 and a half years ago, we were 280 people in the organization.
Right.
As of last month, we paid salary to more than 6,000.
Whew.
So that's the kind of scalability that this industry have. We are in animation, visual effects, and games.
Right.
And I can also tell you that as far as games are concerned, it is not about what one just plays at home. For example, we have produced the FIFA game for Electronic Arts for the last 13 years. It's one of their biggest games. So sports is huge in games, right? And it's evolving now even to the esports genre,
Yes,
where
yeah.
you're seeing a huge startup, about
Yes.
17, 18 million people playing it right now.
Right.
In online games, before the pandemic, we were 250 million people playing games. Today, it's 460 million people playing games in India.
Yes.
So India is now one of the top 3 countries in the world where people play games.
Wow.
The confusion that you talked about, some people like games, don't like. There are different types of games.
Yeah.
Some are games of skill.
Yeah.
which are really important for all ages. Some are games of chance.
Right.
Some games of chance are free. Some games of chance have money involved in it. And that needs some regulation, which is going to come in and will make things normal.
Okay.
And then there are things that are considered to be gambling.
Right.
So even that has been regularized, because in the last 2 weeks they have come out with a GST clearly stating that those games that they consider not to be, for everyone,
Yeah.
should have a 28% GST, will be regulated, and I think that will become a national agenda.
Fantastic. So what I'm hearing is there's a lot of structure around it. There's a lot of focus. Government recognizes the contribution it's going to
Yes.
make on the economy.
Yes.
And everything is being streamlined.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Viren. Abhas, now when you talk about Bombay Play and creating online games, so how are these online games coming into our homes going to impact the culture on a long run?
I think, with every technology, there are always positives and negatives. So, but I being an optimist and I being a part of this industry, I would like to highlight the positives. As we saw during COVID times, when people were really left with no other avenue, these games provided them a constructive outlet. So going forward, we think the games being played by people within a family or within friends or the larger society are going to give them creative outlets.
Yeah.
Not just as consumers, but also as creators. And I think a lot of talk about the metaverse, NFT plays into that,
Right.
that everybody can be creator and everybody can benefit from that. Another thing I would probably say is that because it is all happening online or through the internet, we can talk about the negatives of internet, but there's been a positive of internet also. That now we know more about the world, and we know how even though we might be from different parts of the world or different parts of the same country,
Right.
we are all very similar. And I think games also will help us explore that, and games will also help us learn about the others, like storytelling. We keep coming back to that,
Yeah.
right? Every culture tells their own stories.
Right.
Through games, we hear about the other stories, and now games will also provide the next generation to create their own different
Excellent.
new
So
stories.
in a way, it's making the world smaller, connecting us, and we are also interconnected. And my nieces and nephews, they are always hooked to online games. And during the pandemic, I came to know that I could go online into a room and play Ludo with them. And we kept real-time scores and things like that. And it's also wonderful to see that they are able to play with players around the world as well. Right?
Yeah.
And as they play, they're also communicating and talking and building these friendships and understanding their culture as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think even if we talk about internet in general, let's say YouTube and things like that, people have started to experience other cultures, learn things, and now we can actually have. So I think it's been there since chat rooms also, but now we can do much more, interactive, more elaborate things with not just people in the room, but people all over the world. So I think from a cultural exchange and cultural learning perspective, I think it's a really good thing.
Okay, thank you.
To add into that,
Sure.
Basically games doesn't mean that actually what people parents basically think about
Yeah.
it spoiling their kids and
Right, ಹೌದು.
so but if you look at it, take into we got one award in 2018 basically for what is that Unity 3D and Government of India. They had together created that contest for 150th Mahatma Gandhi's birth anniversary.
Okay.
Otherly, what we did is we brought the concept of Fit India and Clean India in the game. So you can educate people not only for the
Fit India movement.
Yeah, for
Okay.
Fit India and even the Clean India, both together
Okay.
in one single game.
Right.
And that's where we got the award on that one.
Excellent.
So it's not just so mobile phones are something parents feel that okay, these are spoiling kids, right? Why don't you use the same mobile phones to educate them and gamify the things which really which is required for their growth.
Alva.
So
Correct. Because I don't think there will be a world where we are going to take away the phones from our children and tell them illa phone kodalla ನೀವು ಹಳೆ ಕಾಲಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಆಟ ಆಡಬೇಕು ಆ ಥರ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ರಿಯಲ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಂಟಿಗ್ರೇಟೆಡ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ವರ್ಚುವಲ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ವೆಲ್ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಈಗ ಅದನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಂಪನಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು NFT ಇಸ್ ಅಂತ ಏನಿದೆ ನಾನ್ ಫಂಜಿಬಲ್ ಟೋಕನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಡಿಜಿಟಲ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ಸ್, ಇದು ಒಂದು ಮೀಮ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಇದನ್ನು ಜನರು ಹಲವಾರು ಲಕ್ಷ ಕೋಟಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಮಾರ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ವೆನ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಮನಿ ಥ್ರೂ ಇಟ್. ಈ NFT ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು? ಲೈಕ್ ಇಫ್ ಅ ಲೇ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಎನ್ NFT, ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಕೊಡಿ.
ಸೊ ಲೇ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ಗೆ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಯೂಸೇಜ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ NFT-ಗೆ. ಒಂದು ಯು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಯುವರ್ ಓನ್ ಫೋಟೋ and put it as NFT, and after you become a big personality, so probably that it values increases, and it's a only photo it can be possible. ಈಗ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಆದರೆ ಒಂದು ಫೋಟೋ ಹೊಡೆದ್ರೆ ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಕಾಪಿ ಪೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಕಾಪಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯು ಓನ್ ದಟ್, ಹೂ ಇಸ್ ದ ಓನರ್, ಆಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ಓನರ್ ಯಾರು ಅಂತ ಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಪಿ ರೈಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಕಾಪಿ ರೈಟ್ ಅಂತ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾವುದು ಬೇಡ. ಸೊ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆಸ್ ಗುಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಕಾಪಿ ರೈಟ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ತರ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇದು ನೀವು ಓನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಅದನ್ನ ಆಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ಮೋರ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯಬಲ್, ದಟ್ ಫೋಟೋ ಬಿಕಮ್ಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯಬಲ್, ಅಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಟ್ರೇಡೆಡ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ದ ಯೂಸರ್. ಸೊ ಐ ನೀಡ್ ಮೋರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮೋರ್ ಮನಿ ಅಂತ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. So that's one use case. Another use case is you create a scarcity. Okay, so ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಗೇಮಲ್ಲಿ as I already told that, okay, so there will be like 10 swords ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So only those 10 swords can be purchased by some people. Okay, so only 10 swords, each is attached to NFT. ಆ 10 swords purchase ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Purchase ಮಾಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ so he will play and he will finish the game. So another person will come and he has to again invest, alva. But the guy who is already invested, he loses his money after completing the game. How can he make money? By selling to other user.
Okay.
So he can sell to other users.
So it passes on.
Correct. You can actually regain that money in the games. Okay, after okay, it's not only the games, everywhere it is applicable actually.
Okay. Excellent.
And can I just say that as far as what these two gentlemen said, we think of this conversation with regard to entertainment. But actually these technologies today, if you take for example virtual reality, virtual reality is where you basically are seeing something close up and you also are wearing headphones because the device is not perfect yet. In the future, glasses may do that.
Okay.
So where is the biggest application of virtual reality in India? It's in the defense.
Right.
So the defense people are learning, about different conditions, right? You can treat patients to get over fears in certain ways.
Okay.
You can use it for education.
Wow.
So what our industry, if you look at it, has got two things that happen. Imagery, images, and simulation.
Okay.
So if you trained a pilot in the past, they had a very expensive simulator.
Yes.
Worth hundreds of crores, right? To make a person fly a plane that costs hundreds of crores. In a simplified way, this is what we are doing with virtual reality. We are creating that. All the Formula 1 race car drivers, they actually learn on a simulator.
Wow. Okay.
So today, if you have to now be a medical student and learn how to operate, right, on patients, you don't have to go and get the cadavers and then do operations. You can do that using tactile things and virtual reality.
Wow.
So the application of this is just explosive, and it works in that way. And when you talked about culture, the Chief Minister of Karnataka has just commissioned a first project where Mysore Palace simulation is going to be done in VR in order to bring a lot of people to. How many people from Hubli, Dharwar have been to Mysore Palace? Not many, right?
Yes.
But you can take Mysore Palace to them. And then we were talking about doing 16 temples with government of Karnataka. And the idea was, oh my gosh, then people will stop going to temples. But I said, hang on a minute. If you go and talk to 500 neighbors of yours, how many have been to those temples, right? So if you actually give them an experience of 10 minutes in that temple, they will be more excited to go to those temples and explore more about it. So culture can be brought alive by simulation. And virtual reality, I don't know if you've tried it, but our brain is very, very fickle. So if today we are doing a virtual reality where you and I are walking across two buildings of 20 stories, right? And you put that on, and you can tell yourself, no, it's only a game. I know.
You feel like you're going to stumble,
in 5 seconds, you will be fooled.
Yes.
In 10 seconds, you will no longer think that you are sitting here and watching that. You will be immersed in that.
Absolutely.
So the content technology, which is simulation and imagery, is becoming immersive. That is what's captivating you. And about the kids and the phones, I think the kids are today asking their parents at dinner table, please put your phone apart. I want to tell you what happened in school. So it's the other way around.
Okay. Well, I have to agree with you because I probably have seen, similar playouts happening back at home. So you're saying it's also a great equalizer that you can take something to people who can't afford it, and they will be able to experience this firsthand. Great. ಬಸವರಾಜ್, ಈಗ ನೀವು ನಮ್ಮ ಇನ್ಸ್ಪೈರಿಂಗ್ ಆಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿನ್ಯೂರ್ಸ್ ಈ ಸೆಗ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ?
ಒಂದು ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಏನಂದರೆ, ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಬರೀ ಗೇಮ್ಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ. ಗೇಮ್ಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತಲ್ವ, ಸೊ ಯು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಮಚ್ ಬಿಗ್ಗರ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ದ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೇಮಿಂಗ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅದು ಒಂದು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಐ ಮೈಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಇಸ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್, ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಗೇಮ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಎ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಗೇಮ್ ಪ್ಲೇ ಆರ್ ಎ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಗೇಮ್ ಪ್ಲೇ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಬ್ರಿಂಗಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್. Physical world ಮತ್ತು digital world, how we can bring together, that is where people will be more hooked into it. ಅದು that's where you have to invest more.
ನೋಡಿ ವ್ಯೂವರ್ಸ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಬಸವರಾಜ್ ನಿಮಗೊಂದು ಸೀಕ್ರೆಟೇ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ರು. ಗೇಮ್ಸ್ ಬದಲು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋ ಇಂಗ್ರೀಡಿಯೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದರ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಎಂಡ್ ಅದನ್ನು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ನೈಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಯು ಟು ಶೇರ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಥಾಟ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ Abhas, finally, what should be the challenges, what are the challenges that people should be ready for once they are here?
So in the gaming industry, I think it's a very interesting industry that brings a lot of different kinds of talents together. It's not just technical talent, it's creative talents like artists, storytellers. Then obviously there is a technical aspect to it. The biggest challenge in this industry is it's really competitive. You're not only trying to make something which is better than your peers, you're trying to make something which is better than the world. So now we are trying to build things for the world, and in the world there are a lot of smart, creative people who are already doing this. So the challenge is always to learn from others, learn from your mistakes, learn from what you do.
Keep yourself creatively motivated.
Keep yourself creatively motivated, and keep challenging yourself. But like where India gets an advantage is we are a culture of storytellers.
Great.
So we are already prepared for it.
Thank you for that thought. Right. Biren, finally, what is the future that you see for the animation, the metaverse, and there's the whole industry that we are talking about at the moment?
So anything that we do in this industry is about how you create a franchise. So today, Harry Potter is a franchise. Pirates of the Caribbean is a franchise. Right? We've got 4 Oscars for the team in India, working together with our international studios for Jungle Book and and Life of Pi and stories like that. Right? 1917, a World War I story. Our goal and our dream as a country should be that we take the stories and the products and the things that are ours and take it to the world. Our mythology is as deep as the Greek mythology or Italian mythology or any other mythology.
Yes.
In fact, countries that don't have a long history are the ones who actually have the biggest storytelling in mythology to the world. And our stories need to be put into new packaging. Stories don't change. Packaging changes.
The packaging changes.
And that is what this technology is doing.
Yeah.
So working with the government of Karnataka, we have built the Center of Excellence at EBI with a grant from the government in order to create tools and technologies that can be used by anyone who can't afford to have them.
Fantastic.
So a camera setup for motion capture means if you have 6 dancers doing a dance, if you were to do that in animation, it would take you 100 people and maybe 3 months. But now, if you just do that in motion capture, you can import, for example, your dance move into another person or into a creature. It could be a bear.
Wow.
So if you want a dancing bear in the future, you can have a human actor creating those moves and importing those moves. That's how most games in the world are made. 90% of all games are made through a motion capture.
Right.
So in order for us to get our industry up to global standard, these are the kind of investments that we have been able to co-author with the government and create in centers where we are creating startups.
Excellent.
So we have an incubation part of that business. We have a studio startup part of that business. 3 studios have started up, and the current studio was started with 10 people. Today they are about 65 people, and they've also started in Hubli and in another state.
Fabulous.
So this is what you need to do. You need to actually make sure that you create something that is fertile. It is like agriculture. You're growing startups is like, there's actually a method to it. Right? It requires the right soil, it requires the right climate, it requires the right inputs, nutrients, and you can create startups. It's how it goes. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Biren. I mean, my whole perspective about gaming and animation has completely changed, from being like a cribber about, why are people hooked onto their phones. I see a new possibility, a new way of life. It's creating jobs, it's immersing people, it's giving them experiences. And I want to take a moment to, congratulate you on the fantastic job that you all are doing, and I wish you many successes and all the best. ಇಷ್ಟು ದೂರ ಬಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ಮಾತುಕತೆ ಆಡಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಮ್ಮ ವ್ಯೂವರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ಸ್ಪೈರ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು
ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
ಇದು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಅಪ್ ಚಾಂಪಿಯನ್ಸ್ ನವಭಾರತದ ಶಿಲ್ಪಿಗಳು. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಪ್ರಾಯೋಜಕರು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಡಿಜಿಟಲ್ ಇಕಾನಮಿ ಮಿಷನ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಿಗುವ ಮುಂದಿನ ಸಂಚಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ.